bigoted trans... Oh, no, I have to do this one. Bigoted trans woman doesn't want to be held accountable. Katie Montgomery and Dr. Ben. This is... This is the line. This is, you totally railroaded me. I'm not surprised, and it's probably coming from this person. Bigoted trans woman doesn't want to be held accountable. Katie and Dr. Ben. But hey, I don't know, maybe they're really based. I'm not saying that shit anymore. I don't care.
So now we are going to talk to
I'm so surprised that person's voice sounds like that. Wow.
Summer, who was saying they are trans and also seems to be describing trans women as biological men. So, Summer.
God, could she talk a bit slower maybe? Hang on. Just science.
So now we're going to talk to Summer.
Listen, that's what... Shut up. That's what a lot of these videos sound to me on normal speed, okay?
Who was saying they are trans and also seems to be describing trans women as biological men. So, Summer, go for it. What's your argument
Hi,
here?
David. Hi, Dr. Ben.
Hi.
Hello.
There's a bit of animosity already. This person does not seem very happy with this person, and I've no idea if there's like previous. Does Katie Montgomery use she, her, or she, they? I don't know. Whatever. Well, thank you. I try and be funny. I complain about my girlfriend not laughing at my jokes all the time.
So I'm hoping that we could have a civil discussion about this.
Oh, that's that's optimistic.
I'm very well educated in this part of social issues, and so
I'm sorry. I need to stop pausing, but I need to see what her face just did then.
In this part of social discussion about this, I'm very well educated in this.
She didn't like that, did she? I'm very well educated.
In this part of social issues, and so I'm really hoping that we can, talk, because I've gone through my transition, had all the surgeries, all that kind of stuff, and I've
Someone please tell Dr. Ben to close his mouth, by the way.
spent a lot of time researching these topics, and I'm sick of seeing biological men walk into women's spaces like locker rooms, like in Alaska, where the man walked in and he's shaving his beard.
Yeah, we've seen that. My take on that is don't fucking shave your beard in the women's. It's going to look weird. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And
Hang
then,
on a second, just so we're clear, do you consider yourself to be a biological man?
No.
So what's the difference? When did you stop being one?
I stopped being one when I got my surgeries.
So
I don't really agree with the other person's definition, because I think you have to take like intention and stuff like that to account. But I can think that whilst also thinking that if you're a man with a fucking beard, and instead of shaving it at home like a normal person, you go into the fucking you go into the women's changing room and shave your beard there. Like, yeah, that's fucking weird. You shouldn't do that. Not literally true, but socially the best model. Yeah, I know what you mean in terms of like the penis and stuff like that, and like the testosterone. It's difficult. I'll keep watching and I'll work something out.
the day of the surgery, you were a biological man in the morning, and in the afternoon you were a biological woman, or?
Well, after all the hormones.
Do you stop being a human when you get your limbs amputated? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking when I say that I don't think surgery like defines it, but I don't know. The thing is, if she's saying like, oh, you woke up a biological man and left a biological female, that sounds ridiculous, but if you think that surgery like confirms your sex then or gender or whatever, then yeah, that's probably how it is to those people.
That I've taken, and the surgeries and the FFS and, all those surgeries, yes.
So I'm just wondering if you feel like it was a binary flip from one to the other, or if you think it was a sliding scale.
No, when I was 4 years
Why would it be a sliding scale? Like, yeah, I don't know, whatever.
old, like I realized, and, I passed.
Was I non-binary until I got my surgery? Is that what she's trying to say?
And when I first started transitioning, I passed. I'm 5'6", 130 pounds. And
Sure, but
you know,
what I mean is, so obviously I mean, I don't know what age you transitioned, but obviously at some point you consider like trans women. For example, me, at some point before I came out, you would have said that I was a biological man. And it seems like you'd be saying now in my life that I am not. So I'm just wondering if, in your opinion, that there's a certain moment in time where that flips from being one thing to another, or whether there's some
Well, yeah, the surgery, isn't that literally what she said? Is this gonna like do my head in?
kind of grey area sliding scale.
Here's the thing about like trans people on these kind of things. Like, they'll start off like a bit higher up, and then you'll hear it slowly go down as your voice gets tired. By the way, I don't care. You can make offensive jokes. I don't give a shit. As long as it's not like TOS. I don't want to get like cancelled. Not cancelled. I don't care about being cancelled. As long as I don't get like TOS or something. Like, you can make jokes about like trans shit. I don't give a fuck. I still would.
yeah, I would say that just over time, as I became more aware of protecting women and what trans people are doing to the LGBTQ community and what they're doing to women's spaces and how they're making them feel very uncomfortable when you've got women that own Giggle and that they're demanding.
So she's not wording it amazingly, but kind of bringing a lot of different things in at once. But I agree with that for definite.
So
Okay.
I feel like you've dodged my question. I'm just obviously in your
But I think she's trying to ask, like, what was the point that flipped you from a man to a woman? It kind of seemed like she answered that already and, like, is now making it a bit more confusing. I'm not sure. I mean, I've not really had a debate like this. So when it's in the moment, like, you're going to say what you're going to say, right?
your transition, when you were transitioning, there was a point at which you, because you consider, trans women who haven't yet done surgery or whatever, you consider them biological men. There must have been a point at which you either considered yourself a biological man or a biological boy, whatever that means. And there is a point now in time where you don't
Wait, biological man or a biological boy? Oh, okay, fair enough.
consider yourself that. I am interested what you do consider yourself now. And I'm just wondering, when does that change? Like, does that change on the day of your surgery?
Okay. Yeah.
In that 5
Right,
years?
I understand. Yeah, so it changed after my surgeries, after having all of my surgeries and going through, and then understanding all of the issues and what's going on in the world. Where, so does that answer your question? So we can move on.
Well, I do think this is kind of like the core point, and also probably where I'll start answering the question I think you're going to ask.
Sure.
So if you say it's after your surgeries, I mean, I don't know how many surgeries you've had, but does that mean, I don't know what order you had them in, but say, for example, it'd be possible for there to be someone who is transitioning into a woman and they plan to have genital reassignment surgery and then facial feminization surgery. They're still a biological man after the first one, or?
I'm not sure, to be honest. This is a really boring question. Like, when did you decide you're a woman instead of a man? I don't know. I think there's more interesting things to talk about than this, but hey.
What? Which point?
So, I mean, this isn't really what I was calling in to talk about, because
The reason why I'm bringing this up.
What you're trying to do.
The reason I'm bringing this up is obviously I want to know which point in your transition you started using women's spaces, and what it is that you think other people need to do, and I need to understand first where you think these lines are.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that there needs to come a point in a trans person's life where they need to decide when they start passing. I didn't start using women's spaces until I passed, until I knew that I passed. I had to go through.
So my question.
God, they do like jumping in. This guy's woken up.
Sorry.
Yeah. So my question is then, like, is it when you pass or is it when you have the surgery? Because those are.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, you'd think because there's two of them, they wouldn't be like jumping in so often, but I don't know.
Completely different points in time, and I think that's where Katie is going with this.
Both. When you pass and have the surgeries.
So when you have, okay, so let me ask you a question, because I feel like it's very easy to.
I guess she's saying you have genitals that match, so you're not gonna, whatever people do in the bathrooms that do disgusting things, or, and you look like one. I don't know. It's a really boring topic. I hope they move off of it.
To address this from like the rhetorical statement of people.
Are they related? God knows. I hope not.
People assuming that trans women have like these huge beards and like these lumberjack figures, and then they transition and suddenly it's okay for them to be in spaces. Let's flip this, because So I've not had bottom surgery. I've had top surgery.
Oh, is this a trans man? Okay. I suppose that explains some things, but...
And I would say I passed most of the time. Which bathroom should I use? Which spaces
And like with this guy, it doesn't matter anywhere near as much because like it's like the risk from males to females. Like if we're talking about who should use the men's bathroom, it's just not as big of an issue because men are the stronger sex. They're more likely to commit a crime or something like that. Like all sorts of things. Look how masculine the one on the left is compared to the one on the right. Yeah, there's always that thing when you get those like trans like podcasts and stuff and you kind of notice like the features on each other. It's like upside down world or something. They're currently arguing when someone should use women's spaces, as in like when are you definitionally a woman, not a man, or whatever. I don't know.
should I use?
Right. So, okay. So let's look at.
No, answer my question. What spaces should I use?
Yeah, you should use.
Who cares? You're a trans man. This is like a issue that affects trans women. No one gives a fuck about you. Why are you in here?
The bathroom for men, right?
Okay, but
So surgery's not
by your
part of it.
definition. So surgery's not part of it.
They're not equal. Why is this fucking idiot is flopping her head around as if she's like got this person, but like no, like I'm guessing this is like a trans man. And no one cares about the male bathrooms. The questions are about the female bathrooms. This affects trans women specifically. No one cares about male spaces. No one. No one cares which bathroom you should use. Use either of them. I don't give a fuck.
Because I haven't had bottom surgery, so
Right, yeah, you should use the bathroom for men, right?
Okay, but
So surgery's not
by your
part of it.
definition.
Look at this own she thinks she's got. This is fucking stupid.
So surgery's not part of it because
Look, and she does it again. This is not an own. This guy is just misdirecting. No one cares. No one cares what bathroom you go to. Trans men, I'm so sorry to do this to you. No one gives a fuck.
I haven't had bottom surgery, so
Right,
I'm
but
a biological
telepathy
man.
So he's wait.
Right, but phalloplasty
Or maybe he is a biological woman. I guess in the hypothetical, like you look like a man. No one cares.
is
But,
completely
so then
different
why is the
than a
definition
vaginoplasty.
different?
Yeah. So I have a trans man friend. I guess basically no one cares what bathroom he uses. Yeah, because almost certainly he's got a vagina. This person I think is just a cis man, to be honest with you. But like, yeah, like it's because of like the risk from male to female versus the other way around. Like in the enclosed space, the fact that you take your clothes off, you know, stuff like that. No one cares about the male space. And this person seems to think that this guy is like dunking so hard. She's just being stupid. And it makes me think, do these people give a shit about this whole thing, or is this just a dunk fest for them?
Well, why is that different? Why is one side not a biological change, but this one is? Like, why?
That's not, oh my God. See, the whole thing potentially is now completely faulty. We've got a premise that is broken beyond belief, and we're going to carry on with that premise anyway. How great.
Why is your
Because
metric different
biological
for
women
trans
can
people?
pass much easier than biological
Yeah, I agree with you.
men.
So you're saying that the whole definition is just passing. So passing is your metric.
Why-
That is what you were saying.
why-
I don't think that's even a good argument, really. Like, because, like I said, no one cares about the male space.
So do you do
This, sorry, I'm pausing a lot. This chapter is called When to Use Women's Spaces, and he starts saying completely different shit. Like, no.
consider yourself a biological man who passes as a woman?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so that's not what you said earlier. So there's no point in time
No, so
in
what I'm saying
transition.
is,
God, I wonder, like, these people, like, wait for these, like, inconsistencies as if they're not being confusing as fuck. Like, probably throwing this person the fuck off because they possibly with an ounce too much optimism thought maybe there's a chance I'll actually have a civil conversation here. They're not interested. I'm so sorry. None of these people seem to be. And I don't know what the answer to that is, unfortunately. I guess it's just trying to help other people understand how nuts all these people are so that anyone with an ounce of sense just goes nowhere near the fucking trans umbrella cult, you know?
yeah, so what I'm saying is I went through all the processes. I went through all the surgeries. I got my birth certificate changed. I can now go into a women's locker.
Do you not think you get non-biological humans? I don't know if I'm biological. You might be.
room and shower with other women, and other women do not know I was biologically male.
What
Except
order?
that I could I could go into a women's bathroom and shower, and nobody would know I was biologically male because I wasn't by anybody's definition. So then why can't we use the women's bathroom?
What?
No, I was bi. I could
just-
also go into.
Oh my god, she won't shut the fuck up either. To be fair, I don't even know why he's here, but sure.
Biologically male.
What order?
Except that I could go into a women's bathroom and shower, and nobody would know I was biologically male because I wasn't by anybody's definition. So then why can't I?
Because I wasn't by anyone. What?
We use the women's bathroom and the women's shower.
What is he even saying? I can't be asked to keep replaying that to make it make sense. Yes, this man is biologically a goldfish. I agree.
Wait, I don't understand your question.
You just said that.
Wait a minute. You said you didn't have bottom surgery, right, Dr. Ben?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. But you said that I have.
I don't still know what fucking genitalia this person has. It shouldn't matter, but they're making it so confusing. Like, this is like sticking someone in a washing machine or something and then dragging them out and asking them a bunch of questions, and they're like, whoa. Biological black. Yes, exactly.
Have to use the men's bathroom and the men's facilities.
Right, how could you pass?
Yeah, but you're saying I shouldn't use the women's one. You were saying that I shouldn't use the women's one and that I should use the men's one because I pass as a man.
Yeah.
But I don't pass there, but I pass in the women's bathroom if I wasn't wearing any clothes. So, like, why can't I be in the women's bathroom?
Her stupid grin is, like, starting to irritate me. It's like she knows. She probably does. I mean, this has to be at least a little bit deliberate.
You could go into the women's bathroom, I guess.
So I'm very confused about what your argument is. It's so
If
inconsistent.
you want to cause issues, then yeah, you could do that.
Like, the example the person calling used was that person that was photographed or filmed or something by another weird person, by the way. And, like, looked like a man with, like, tits, albeit, shaving his face, a male activity to do. Like, I've talked about it before. I don't need to, like, go over that whole thing. It just looked straight up like a man shaving his face in the women's locker room. That's what she's talking about. It's like obvious men in the fucking locker room doing male shit. Not like trying to work out the fucking tiny minutia of where exactly you go from a fucking man to a woman, or where it is exactly you go, where you're suddenly now able to go into like women's spaces. Like, I don't know. I mean, they haven't defined it super well, but at the same time, like, arguing with these two is like getting in a fucking washing machine.
I'm saying I want women to feel comfortable in those female-only spaces. And a man going into a women's locker room that has a penis does not make anyone feel safe. If I was in there, if I was in a women's locker room and a man came into that space, I would not feel safe. I would leave.
So what if I walked in the space? Okay, so let me give you a very weird hypothetical here. So like,
Okay.
I would make people very uncomfortable by walking into a women's space, right? If I was looking the way that I am now. Let's say just for some reason I walk in there, people are uncomfortable. I'm like, no, it's okay, and I just like strip, and everybody knows that I don't have a penis. It's now okay because I wasn't bringing a penis into the women's space.
Right, but why do you want to do that? Why would you want to do that?
It's a hypothetical to point out that your argument is so inconsistent. Like,
why
I'm very confused.
Why would anyone want to do your
is.
suggestion? Why would anyone want to, like, I don't understand. People constantly talking about these hypothetical trans women who want to get their genitals out in front of an open plan changing room full of a bunch of cis women. Like, who the fuck is doing that?
It's not just about that. It's about the use in general. It's about being in an enclosed space around potentially naked women, which you shouldn't really be seeing if you're a man. It's, to an extent, it's about the fact that they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're like transgressing a social boundary in the first place by being a male in that room. And like, what else are they going to do as a result of not caring about that particular social boundary? What else don't they care about? It's about women who have like certain trauma around males that really just don't want to be in those enclosed spaces about them. But we have to go to people think that trans women want to go in and swing their dicks around. Like, fuck. None of these people like understand the other argument. So like, what's the point almost?
I've literally never met a trans woman who wants to do that.
There's a 50-year-old man swimming with little girls in Canada in one of
Do you know this person?
Oh, Serena, listen. What was I going to say? I was going to say something really. Yeah, there's a lot of things that supposedly never happen according to like trans people on the internet. There it is.
You know that person was Summer. Do you know that person was trans? Was that a trans person, or was that just a man being a perv?
No, it was a trans person. It was a
How do you
man
know?
identifying as a woman.
How do you know?
Because it was all over the news.
Oh,
And the news
well.
is 100% accurate all the time.
So you're trying to say like, what? How do you know that was a trans woman? Like, what else was it going to be fucking be? This just was a fucking guy fucking doing his beard and shit. Sorry, I'm really losing my ability to speak English right now. But like,
The news is always correct. Yeah.
So, I mean,
the news is, oh my god, these people are incredibly like bad faith. It doesn't matter what any of them say. Yeah, I probably need someone that knows more than I do. It's not hard. These people are not interested in this conversation. They're just trying to fuck this person around. Like, it sucks. And these are supposed to be like the good people that are like sticking up for like trans people. I think it's disgusting.
Why are you
the obvious-
defending,
I'll let you
why
go.
are you defending
Yeah,
these people? That's what I want to know.
I think the obvious solution to this is just to not have open plan changing rooms, because I wouldn't want.
Yeah, let's just get every single business to like completely change their fucking changing rooms. Good one, Katie.
I mean, if you're saying it's with kids, I don't want an adult woman who I don't know coming in and flashing in front of my kids either. Like, why are people waving their genitals around in the change room? That's already a problem, regardless of whether they're trans or.
That's already a problem. Where is it? Oh my god. This person is like, does this person do a lot of like debates and stuff? I don't think they're at all interested in any of this shit. I think they're interested in getting dunks on what they consider transphobes. I think that's all I'm getting from this.
Cis. And also equally, you don't want some man coming in and waving their genitals around in front of your son, like who's a child. I just think open plan changing rooms are just totally garbage. And I think it's like it's very easy to say, oh, there was a
Open plan changing rooms are garbage. I can't really speak to them because I don't really go to like the gym or anything, but I don't know, people can feel free to weigh in on that one. But yeah, let's make all businesses like fucking change the open plan changing rooms because Katie said so. Like, who cares? Like, let's come up with more hypothetical ideas to make it better that no one's ever going to do. Great.
There's one example in this one really hyper-specific situation, so therefore we need to ban all trans women from. I'm not really interested in that because I still want to.
Is that even what she said? We need to ban all trans women? I think it just means like, I think she was just saying there needs to be a higher standard so we don't have fucking men shaving in the women's changing room, which would make even me uncomfortable.
Situation, so therefore we need to ban all trans women from. I'm not really.
This reductio ad absurdum, or this, you know, rewording the argument to make it sound stupid. This is a very common like trans thing. Like, they do this like fucking so much.
Interested in that because I still want to understand, because to me your position, as I understand it, doesn't quite seem to make sense, and that's why I want to ask these questions. Like, what was your timeline? What was your order? So it sounds like you've had, you've been on HRT and stuff, and you've done some surgery.
Yeah, so it's like if you say prisons are an almost unavoidable issue, and I said, so you mean all trans women should be in prison? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. As in, like, just, there's no way I possibly could have actually read what you said. You know? Maybe your fucking understanding doesn't make sense.
And at some point you started passing, and at some point you started using women's spaces. Like, what order did that happen in, those steps? Because you were saying when you pass...
Oh my god, stop asking. Just fucking finish the question. Jesus fuck. It's like, who was that series 1 of Drag Race? Fucking one of them is supposed to be interviewing someone, and she asks about 7 questions, like, in one go, and the person being interviewed is just like, Jesus Christ, finish the fucking question. I hate when questions seem like they're ending, and then it's like they add a bunch more stuff, and now I can't remember half the shit they fucking started with. Oh my god, this is driving me insane.
Important. So presumably you started passing, and then you started using the women's toilets at work and stuff. And was that before or after surgery? And which surgeries?
How many questions was that? Hang on, I need to get that again. I'm aware that I'm constantly like going back, but I'm not really in a rush to do anything, so.
The point you started using women's spaces, like what stuff, timeline, what seemed to make sense? And that's stand because we need to ban all trans. Say, oh, there was this one open plan change man coming in and waving their genitals around in front of your.
How long does she fucking what is it? This discussion, 47 minutes of questioning and 4.3 seconds of answers, yeah. Well, I mean, it's more than 4.3 seconds of answers, but that's all they're listening to because most of the time they're talking over them again because they found something else that's some tiny inconsistency that is probably caused by these people making it confusing.
No, coming in and
Still talking.
I wouldn't want. I mean, if you're saying it's with kids, I don't want an adult woman who I don't know coming in and flashing in front of my kids either. Like, why are people waving their genitals around in the change room? That's already a problem, regardless of whether they're trans or cis.
I'm not going to count that as a question.
And also equally, you don't want some man coming in and waving their genitals around in front of your son. It's very easy to say, oh, there was this one example in this one really hyper-specific situation, so therefore we need to ban all trans
Yeah, this is like so bad faith. It's actually like irritating me.
women from. I'm not really interested in that because I still want to understand, because to me, your position, as I understand it, doesn't quite seem to make sense. And that's why I want to ask these questions. Like, what was your timeline? What was your order? So it sounds like you've been on HRT and stuff, and you've done some surgeries, and at some point you started passing, and at some point you started using women's spaces. Like, what order did that happen in, those steps? Because you were saying when you
Sounds like she's going to stop. There's like 3 questions already.
pass is the most important. So presumably you started passing, and then you started using the women's toilets at work and stuff. And was that before or after surgery? And which surgeries?
So we've got 5 different questions. Technically, one of them I think was repeated, but like, fuck me. Do people not notice this kind of shit? Like, I don't know. Like when I used to talk to like tenants and landlords for my office job, like, I mean, most of my interjections would be as brief as possible, but I learned to say as many words as I could and like as few words to express something as I could and talk as fast as I can just to make sure I actually get a fucking word in most of the time. So a normal male changing room. Yeah, I think they're sort of saying more like flashing people. Yeah, this person is anti-open plan changing rooms. Yeah, definitely. She even literally said that, I think. And I don't know why she is other than this whole thing, which is a bit strange, but I don't know. I think she's probably never thought about it before. Yeah, I mean, I used to see like guys' dicks and stuff when I used to go swimming as a kid, you know. I didn't like it, but it happened. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's like changing the point to make it sound ridiculous anyway, so I don't feel the need to take that seriously, you know.
Yeah, so after I started passing and I was able to then and had all my surgeries, that's when I started using women's spaces.
So you so you started transitioning, you started passing.
Oh, thank you, Democron. I hopefully see you soon. Sorry, I'm getting tired. But yeah, good to see you again. See you soon. Shaking the penis around method of drying off. That's well known. Everyone does that. I mean, if you splash someone in the urinals, that's just fair dues, you know. Like that just happens. You shake it and you get like a spot there or something. You can't be mad at that person. You know, it's a biological function. Why else would they like articulate and move and stuff, you know?
Then you started having surgeries, and then once you recovered...
Yeah, when it's old men, it's like, it's going everywhere. Like, you're sat in the cubicle, you get a fucking spot land right there. It's like, what the fuck?
All the surgeries, you started using women's toilets at work. So there was multiple years where you passed as a woman, but went into men's spaces.
So I started
How many years
HRT
was that?
I started HRT.
Does it matter how many years? Why are we getting so autistic over this particular person's... Like, I understand that if they're gonna say things about other people, about using women's spaces, and yeah, it probably matters what they use and what their standard is, but like, we established it. Like, she wanted to pass and she wanted genitals that matched the other people in that room. Like, that's fairly easy to accept, even if you don't agree with it. I don't know.
August of 22, and I had my surgery, and had my surgeries about a year later.
Both of them? Or how many? Which surgeries did you have?
FFS,
Well, how many? And which did you have?
top surgery and bottom surgery.
All at once, or?
Well, pretty much back to back. It was a couple.
This guy keeps grinning. Like, these people aren't serious. I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, fuck me.
Months in between each one.
Pretty brutal.
I don't know if I believe that, because that's...
Oh yeah, no, I'm serious. Like, so I have Kaiser permanente, and And when WPATH changed from 12 months to 6 months after being on surgery, I already had seen my therapist, already had the letters, already got approved from WPATH, and then got the surgeries and scheduled them.
And so you just went back to back, like barely any recovery time in between, is what it sounds like. That sounds brutal.
Well, I mean, it's two different areas. I don't know. I got my septum pierced like a month before I got my surgery. I don't have a septum piercing anymore, don't worry. Surprised this person doesn't. Yeah, this is like, these people think it's okay to like demean this person because they have different beliefs. Like, I harp on about this shit constantly. Like how, you know, these kind of more woke progressive like trans types don't seem to be able to handle any kind of disagreement, and that they're already getting like pretty, yeah, I don't know. I don't like this at all, and I don't like these two people. I don't like what they're doing, and you know, this gives me a very like negative impression of them, let's put it that way. But then I already know what this person's like on Twitter. She's like cult as fuck, so.
And I mean, if you did it that way, I mean, like, that's fine. But it just that.
Yeah,
that's fine. But like, why are you judging like the way that her life's gone and like how the surgeries have gone, how it was scheduled? Why are you judging that? Why do you care enough to judge that? Like, oh my God, it's like every single thing she says, they have to find a problem with it. Do you know what I mean?
So I've before talked to trans people or trans women who consider themselves biological men, who say other trans women shouldn't be able to use women's spaces, and who themselves use women's spaces. That is an archetype of trans.
This is Katie Montgomery. Yes, it's the first time I've heard her speak, but I've seen her on Twitter, and I don't have the most positive impression. But this is making it 1,000 times worse because these people are being absolute assholes, to be honest with you. Like, this is incredibly bad faith, and I don't think these people really care about this conversation, which sucks because, you know, there could be trans people out there talking to other trans people that do care about having conversations and aren't just trying to shit on someone.
Trans women. There's very few of them, but you do meet them. And usually when you ask them...
Yeah, I'm not enjoying what I'm seeing of her, let's put it that way.
About when they can start using women's spaces and all this stuff. For other people, they have this, you have to have had all the surgeries. And then when you ask them about their own life and what order they did things in, suddenly it becomes all a bit hazy and it's not quite clear because, like, I know from my life, the reality is as soon as you have to have had all the surgeries. And then when you ask them about their own life and what order they did things in, suddenly it becomes all a bit hazy and it's not quite clear because...
Is it really that hazy? It sounds like she wants people who pass to use the women's bathroom. She herself started using the women's bathroom after she passed and had surgeries. How is that hazy? The reason it's hazy is because, unbeknownst to the other person, what you do is you just mute every time she speaks, so you haven't actually heard a fucking thing. So, yeah, it is confusing because you're not listening, or you're deliberately pretending to listen when you're not, or you're deliberately... Oh, I don't fucking know. They're being obtuse, okay? They're being fucking obtuse, and it's not cool.
Like, I know from my life, the reality is as soon as you start passing, even as a trans woman, before you start just passing as blending in as women in society, you start getting sexual harassment and horrible comments. And
well, maybe it depends what you look like. And the other thing is like sexual harassment and stuff. I don't know about anyone else. I can never tell when it's genuine or not. So
as you stop being read as a trans woman, start being read just as a woman in general in society.
You don't know though. That's the thing. I don't know who reads me as a woman and who reads me as a trans woman.
I can't imagine anyone being whatever your situation is. I just cannot imagine people being read as a woman during their transition and being like, oh, well, I have yet to have breast augmentation. Therefore, I will not use the women's toilets.
There are people out there that do that. There's people who will just use the men's because they don't feel right using the women's. Like, I don't know.
Work. Like, I can imagine a situation where it's someone who doesn't have a job and they don't go outside. You know, perhaps that is the case for some people.
Trans people especially. You probably know loads of those kinds of people, let's be real.
But I want you to like just be clear to me. Was there a time in your life where you were passing as a woman and you were going out and about in society and you hadn't yet had genital surgery and you were just walking into the men's toilets, like in the pub, at work, in the shopping center? Like, is that actually what you did, or is that just what you're telling other people to do?
No. So when I started passing and I had my after I had my like top surgery and things, yeah.
How many times has she said this now? Like, fuck me. We are almost 16 minutes. Well, no, it's not even that. She has multiple times been clear about what she's doing. Like, I don't know if these people don't really have any arguments or don't really have any ability to like move the conversation on beyond stage one. So they just perpetually stay in stage one, pretending to be confused because they're like, oh, I just think this is stupid, but I can't really say that. Like, I don't know, honestly. I want to eventually start like talking to people that I don't necessarily agree with, but that's kind of something I'm working towards eventually because I feel like I need like a knowledge base and I need to understand all this bullshit. I don't know what I'm waiting for. But anyway.
Yeah, then I was using bathrooms only, but I wasn't going into locker rooms. I wasn't going on to...
Yeah, so like, I actually see what she's saying. Like, for me, I think like open plan locker rooms, you probably should be post-op. If you're like pre-op and you go into a toilet where no one's gonna see anything, it's fine. And I maybe would accept it if they pass well enough, if they're very good at not showing their dick off. But I see what she's saying. Like, some people do make a distinction between locker rooms and bathrooms, and I do to an extent as well.
Other, places like that would expose myself.
You don't have to expose yourself in a locker room. Like,
I'm never gonna
like Katie was
rooms. I wasn't going on to other places like that would expose myself.
You don't have to expose yourself in a...
Did he hear the word expose myself and then just activate? Like he's just like, and then he hears certain words that activate his fucking shitty debate bro points, and he's like, oh shit. I don't know.
Places like that would expose myself.
You don't have to expose yourself in a locker room. Like, like Katie was saying, like,
what did you even say?
Yeah, it's like expose yourself in a locker room. Like, like Katie was saying, like,
I didn't hear what she said at the end there.
Yeah, it's like most locker rooms have like a restroom inside or like shower stalls or something. Like there are options for you to change in private if you want to be in there and not expose yourself. Like there are options, and just because some people choose not to use that doesn't mean that there aren't options there. Like you don't have to expose yourself to change in the...
Oh my god. It's not just about exposing yourselves. Like, you don't have to expose yourself in a changing room. Well, fucking no shit. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't have to, like, walk down the street and spontaneously rip my fucking clothes off, obviously. Like, what is the point in this? This is just pointless arguing so that this person doesn't really get off the ground and doesn't really say anything that means anything. So that any of their dipshit audience might finally fucking snap their brains out and be like, oh, actually, these two are fucking idiots.
I didn't call in to talk about this. I called in.
Well, no, but so why does it...
position though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
if you believe that there should be like gatekeeping, obviously that when people say gatekeeping, they mean some kind of regulations or some kind of rules,
right?
But you're making your own decision. Like, if we said, oh, okay, in order to use women's spaces, you've got to have had genital surgery, then that will mean that there are a bunch of trans women like you who are banned from using the women's toilets.
But she wouldn't be banned. Like you. Oh, I guess it's just, oh, well, think of your trans siblings. I don't know, man. Like, does being post-op make you more likely to be, like, assaulted if you were forced in, like, a male bathroom? If, like, sex bathrooms were a thing? I wonder about that. But, like, I don't know. Someone draws the line at a different place to you. Like, I'm sorry about it. I don't know why it's taken 17 minutes to get to this point.
Like you did. Or they'll end up drawing the line somewhere else where they'll say, oh, yeah, if you've had genital surgery and face surgery, you can use women's spaces. And there will be some trans women who do those things and still don't pass.
The thing is, the person calling in, if there was a higher bar to going into the women's toilets than what she's currently doing, it kind of sounds like she just used men's toilets till then before that. So she'd just keep doing that and then maybe progress on to whatever it is that's needed and then use the women's. Like, I feel like this wouldn't bother her, like, at all.
And then you'll be saying, oh, well, the gatekeeping still isn't good enough. And it will just kind of come down to, like, your opinion. Like, you know, what, how could you possibly gatekeep this? I mean, you were saying...
How could you possibly gatekeep this? Is she one of those people that, like, doesn't know how to finish sentences. So she just never stops until someone like steps in. Is that what's going on? Oh, God. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't necessarily think that male toilets are a fucking savage place where people are all just raping each other. Like, you walk in and there's a man being bummed and another man being like, I don't know. When they say trans, they're talking about transsexuals, they're talking about transvestites or gender. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think she's really engaging her brain much in what she's saying, so it's kind of difficult to even take it that far, to be honest.
You must pass in someone's opinion in order to use it, or is it just down to the person to make up their own mind? Because the reality is, whenever it comes...
I will accept what she's saying in that passing is a difficult thing to measure and is a bit objective, you know, subjective, not objective.
To anything like this, there's only actually 3 ways we can possibly do this. You know, if we want to have some kind of system for who can use a women's toilet. So
well, now we're talking about practicalities, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm still shocked that we've made this little progress in the conversation in almost 20 minutes. And there's another 20. Oh my God, just keep playing. Just keep fucking playing.
It's up to the person to know best. Like what you did and like what I did. We decided, both you and I, Summer, when was the most sensible time for us to use women's toilets at work. Or we have some kind of government regulation with checks and certificates and stuff, and then check the certificates, and you're going to have to just like tick a box. Yes, I've done whatever.
Yeah, that's why I try and not use a huge sweeping category, that being transphobes. I try and avoid using the word transphobes in general because it's confusing whether you're lumping in people that don't belong there or not, you know? Like, transphobes, what's that, you know?
Or we just leave it down to the society to just police, and then someone decides you look like a man, they'll just, you know, kick off.
And then the other thing is, people say plenty of stuff that supposedly is transphobic that just literally isn't. It's just a statement of fact that is not pointed or anything like that, you know?
So the problem is that you can't have a certificate for passing. So it ends up having to be based on surgery or hormones. And it sounds to me like you started hormones and then had surgery and started passing really...
Well, I mean, it could actually be someone's opinion if there was a security card on the door. That's not going to happen because that's too much, you know? And companies aren't going to want to pay people to stand on the door to continue to make sure that there's no sexual assaults in the toilet because we're talking about like an office or something, you know?
Really way quicker than I did.
Gonna go rape my colleague, you know what I mean? It doesn't really happen very often.
So if like you started hormones and then had surgery and started passing really way quicker than I did. So if we had some kind of time limit on it and we said, oh, you have...
By the way, the title is You Totally Railroaded Me. There is a fair amount of railroading going on here. Like, I think these people have to like force the conversation down a specific path. I don't think they like more open talk, I guess. And they've probably decided already that this person is bigoted before they even spoke to her, I'm sure.
Have to be on hormones for 12 months. You wouldn't have even meted that criteria when you're using women's spaces. And if it's some kind of surgery requirement, then you wouldn't have met that requirement either. Like, what is a what possible requirement?
What I'm saying is that if you are not passing, you should not.
Like, what this person is talking about is like personal rules that they think people should take on to avoid making women uncomfortable. You know? Have to be bloody sure they pass. Yeah. I don't know. I think bathrooms are gendered spaces, not sex spaces. Ultimately, you can go in whichever one you want, but if you look like shit, you're going to make people uncomfortable. Like, as a trans woman, you know, no one gives a fuck about the men's anyway. Yeah, if you look good, then you're fine. If you don't look good, it's at your own risk because people are getting more and more funny about this kind of stuff. I even worry myself, but, you know, I mean, you have to remember, like, most people that see you, they're seeing you for a few seconds, you know, in their peripheral vision. So I think, I don't know, that seems like the best way. I think things are basically fine. And yeah, I don't know, that's about it.
Be able to use those women's spaces. I mean, when you are like that guy in game, like that person in GameStop, you know, and they're screaming and yelling and they're pushing around their misogyny.
Excuse me, it is ma'am.
You know, that's just it's not the right way to handle
Show
them.
you what a fucking sir looks like.
It's not right.
Summer, do you?
I managed a pub. Females tended to be more messy than men. Yes. I used to work in a Weatherspoons at the start of my transition, which was probably a brave move, but it hardened me up an awful lot. One time I had to like lock one of the toilets in the women's from the outside because it was like just full of like blood and shit and all this kind of stuff. I used to work in an office, and just every now and then I'd go to use a cubicle, and it's just full of someone's like period that they haven't bothered flushing down. Like, yeah, women's toilets can be disgusting.
Do you think locker rooms should be policed heavily? Like, do you think somebody should be there making sure the right people go in and the wrong people don't?
Yeah, they're like talking past each other. These people want to talk about, well, what should we do about it? This person's talking about what they think that people should like personally, the kind of rules she uses and why she thinks personally that's what people should do, instead of being like, I identify as a woman and have done for 10 minutes. I should use the women's, having like a bald head and a full beard and shit like that. Can confirm women are disgusting.
Well, it seems like that yeah, you can't do that right now. But when you have people, trans people, that are walking into these spaces like that.
No, so what do you?
God, they give her like no time at all.
Problem though.
What do you propose? What do you propose?
It's 2-on-1. They've got to chill a bit. Like, do they not understand?
To make this happen,
to be able to go into those spaces.
How do you enforce? How do you enforce that? How is that enforced?
Well, it's a personal rule. You're not enforcing anything. What's enforced, the way it's enforced, should I say, is whether you pass well enough that the people in there have a problem with you or not. Like, these people are not, they're like talking past each other in a weird way. This has not gotten off the ground, really, in a lot of ways.
Enforceable.
You can't enforce it.
So then why are we talking about this? So then why are we talking about
that laugh? Oh my God.
It sounds like you got a hypothetical. It sounds like you have some internalized transphobia.
Oh, here we go. The personal attacks start. This is how it is. So you go round in circles with someone that doesn't understand your point, and eventually they'll just start making judgments on your character. And by the way, yes, I consider telling someone they have internal transphobia, that's still like a personal attack. They're not understanding what this person is saying.
So then why are we talking about this? It sounds like you got a hypothetical. It sounds like you have some internalized transphobia here. Like
seriously, are you for real? I can't remember if this person is or isn't trans. Like, if they're not, then that's literal transphobia. And it is anyway. You shouldn't be assuming that about someone. You can't tell someone whether they hate themselves for being trans or not. That's ridiculous. Only they know that.
No question about it. But now you're complaining about an issue that you have no way of enforcing reasonably. I understand we can't.
No,
so I'm confused about why we're even talking about this, other than like it seems like
yeah, true.
The only reason to bring this up then.
Jesus Christ, she's trying to answer and you just won't stop talking.
No, it sounds like the only reason we're talking about this then is that you've got some problem with trans people.
Yeah, so we're just reaching into someone's head. Like, how do you know that? Is it because you don't understand their argument and you're getting irritated that the conversation is still happening despite you not understanding that argument? Like, Jesus Christ.
People using these spaces, and you're wanting to...
Yeah, he's got big eyes, actually. I'm kind of jealous. My eyes are, like, tiny.
Yeah, but you have nothing that you can do about it. So why are you coming to an online platform?
Well, it's suggesting a way of, like... You know, it's suggesting a personal rule that might be a good idea for people to take on. You can't enforce stuff. That's half the point. Like, if we're going to start talking about enforcing anything, then... My eyes are also wider than hedgehog. Jesus. Like, God, this is doing my head in. I hate these kinds of people. Like, this is really disgusting. And I know. I'm obviously very offended on behalf of Summer here, but like, Jesus Christ. Internalized transphobia. You should never allowed to fucking speak in public again for that.
To argue about something that you have no way of doing anything about.
So
and this fucking idiot is perfectly happy with him doing that, so great.
Hoping that, well, because I want people to understand that when you are not passing and you're walking into these female spaces and you're making them uncomfortable, that you need to take pause and say, hey, you know what? If I do
this,
exactly.
Like, will they get it this time? Let's see. Will they get it this time? Please.
this is going to cause problems. So why can't they just stop causing those problems? Because it makes it makes all trans people look bad.
Well, I mean, so what you're really saying, so like the purpose.
What you're really saying, I find it hard to believe this is going to resemble at all what we just heard.
If your call in really is to say, you should make your own decisions and don't.
Well, yeah, you should think about women's comfort because you're going into their spaces. This is why I've always kind of put it in the sense that I feel like I'm a guest in like women's spaces rather than a woman using a woman's space. Like, you know what I mean?
Don't be dumb about it. And maybe you disagree with some people when they've made their own decisions, but it doesn't actually sound like you're calling for actual gatekeeping. You're saying,
yeah, oh my God, almost 21 and a half minutes. And a couple of brain cells or neurons or what the fuck ever have like started finally fucking firing in her brain.
It's up to you when you start using women's spaces and just be sensible about it. Would you say that sums up your position?
That's a lot better. Yes.
And
okay, listen, I stand corrected. She actually did an okay job of summarizing. Sorry, I'm so fucking used to, what people normally do, which is, oh, you said people should make up their mind and consider women's feelings. Does that mean you want to kill trans people?
So
the language you're using was very inflammatory.
Yeah, if people are gonna like,
what did he even say then?
Yes.
And so
the language you're using,
God, stop talking over each other. You're on the same team, you fucking morons.
was very inflammatory.
Yeah, if people,
yes.
And so
the language you're using was very
the language you were using was very inflammatory. What a patronizing asshole.
inflammatory.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just so used to that shit. And I guess that's a problem with being on Twitter. Like, people don't normally act the same way on Twitter that they do anywhere else. Which, by the way, if someone's like a streamer and is giving you shit and acting like a complete jackass, just go on their stream and just ask a few questions. There was this trans streamer, I think her name is Pickle B or something on Twitch. Like, she was being the biggest fucking cunt possible on Twitter. And then, like, I went to her stream and just asked a couple of questions about the stuff she was talking about, like specifying literally anything. And it was all just like, you could see her get nervous and be like, oh, just read some history. Well, the last 25 years, that'll answer your question. And it's like, oh my God, you don't know anything, do you? You don't know anything. And like, where's the Twitter energy now? Because you're in person.
Yeah, if people are gonna obviously people are gonna have different opinions of when that is, and different opinions of who passes and who doesn't. You agree with that, right?
Oh yeah, for
people have different opinions. Do you agree? Wow, great question, Katie.
sure. But for the most part, you have to have at least a consensus of whether or not that person can pass, right?
No, you don't.
Well,
you don't. You don't, because there comes a problem then with if there's a consensus for who passes. Like, does this?
It doesn't need to be a consensus. Fuck me.
Oh yeah, for sure. But for the most part, you have to have at least a consensus of whether or not that person can pass, right?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't.
I mean, the consensus arguably is who's already in the toilet at any given time.
Because there comes a problem then with if there's a consensus for who passes. Like, does this extend to cis people that don't look like what you expect?
Well, no, obviously not, you dumb fuck.
To cis women to look like? Where does this go? You are enforcing a stereotypical beauty standard that even a lot of cis people can't meet.
This is fucking retarded. I like how they'll never like take the other side of the argument and be like, well, if you use women's bathrooms without considering women's like feelings or safety or whatever at all, isn't that kind of selfish? Isn't that kind of not great? But they won't entertain that. They're just trying to waste as much time as possible.
And so that's also like, are you suggesting that in order to keep women feeling safe, that anybody that doesn't meet that standard not use those facilities? So are we talking about women who are cis women also not using those facilities because they make people?
Oh my God, he literally asked that right at the start, said a bunch of words, and then rephrased the question, and then asked the same question again anyway.
Uncomfortable. Where does this go?
Yeah. One of my friends.
I can't stop fucking pausing because every time, like, he asks her a question and then she fucking pipes up. Shut up.
Has been confronted. I mean, I've never been confronted going into the women's toilets or even had a weird comment or anything because of when I started using women's spaces. One of my cis women friends, who's a bit older than me, has been confronted her entire life over this. And people saying, "Oh, you're in the wrong."
Well, if you're a woman and you look like a man, then that might just be an unfortunate fact of your life that people are going to question you about that shit. And, surely you'd have thought that not looking like a man and going into the women's changing room would help those people, because you're not trying to normalize it and make it look like there's loads of women that look like men suddenly, because most of them were men. I don't know. It's a weird argument.
Toilets, mate, get out. This kind of stuff. And I don't know how we can possibly measure a consensus, because if we go on,
I don't know, why are we talking about a consensus? He brought it up, by the way. She didn't. She's more just talking about like personal rules and implying. Yeah, I'm not surprised. She's really annoying. And like implying that, it's kind of selfish to use a woman's space as a born male. Like, oh my God.
Twitter, I think we could easily get a consensus that says I look like
Twitter.
I don't know how we can possibly measure a consensus, because if we go on Twitter, I think we could easily get a consensus that says I look like the most stereotypical man of all time, because there are thousands of people who tell me that all the time, even though they're obviously delusional.
Oh, you're such a fucking... Oh, they're obviously delusional. You're such a victim. I'm so sorry, Katie, that people are mean to you on Twitter. Do you know who's mean to me on Twitter? Other trans people. Because I said something very slightly wonky for them, and they can't handle that. So shut the fuck up.
But it seems that at least in some places there's
the way she said delusional, I'm sorry, I keep skipping back and shit, but like I have to hear that again.
I think we could easily get a consensus that says I look like the most stereotypical man of all time, because there are thousands of people who tell me that all the time, even though they're obviously delusional. But
it was just the slightest moment. It's a bit like that Philosophy Tube video that I watched where she mentioned something about transphobes doing like not recognizing her gender, and then her lips just tighten up a little bit for a few seconds, and it's like, oh, that's the tilt face is what that is.
It seems that at least in some places there's a consensus that my cis women friend doesn't pass and I do. And then
right.
Well, yeah, so she's just gonna have to deal with that shit a lot. It sucks, but that's the way of the world. Like, what are you gonna do about that?
Discomfort here is, I mean, like, if someone comes in, and I think it's important to sort of compartmentalize this stuff. If I'm in a room,
even though my jawline is wider than my forehead, I can't really talk. Okay, like mine is like square as fuck. I just deal with it.
And someone comes in and starts waving their genitals around, I'm going to be uncomfortable. Doesn't matter what genitals they are, whether they're trans or cis. If someone comes in to a room I'm in, like the toilets, and I'm washing my hand, and I'm like, oh, maybe this person's a trans woman. Maybe this person is a cis woman who has not been blessed in the stereotypical femininity department. If I feel uncomfortable, that is different. That's a different thing. If you clock someone as trans and you're then uncomfortable because of that, that isn't the same as being uncomfortable with someone waving their genitals. Because often people...
What are you even talking about? Oh my God, why am I watching this?
Come up with this once happened in Canada story, oh, well, we do have a single example of someone getting naked in a women's changing room and looking just like a cis man. Okay, cool. But now we're kind of trying to extrapolate that and suggest that because you don't pass as a cis woman, you shouldn't be allowed to go to the toilet in a service station. Like, these are totally different types of discomfort. I know, but, that's how it's come across.
Is this like just non sequiturs, or did I miss something?
Because there are some people who are never going to pass as a cis woman, but they will obviously pass as a trans woman. Like, everyone who looks at them is going to go, that is a trans woman. And when they look at them, you're not going to know what genitals they have. And if you see someone come into the toilet and do a wee and wash your hands and go, and and you're like, I think that's a trans woman, and it makes you uncomfortable that they did that. I mean, so what do we do? Ban them from going to the toilet because you feel a bit uncomfortable that you've decided they look like a trans woman?
No, Katie, I didn't call her to say that. I'm saying that look, I took the steps to pass, and let's just compare this to cancer.
I'm sure lots do.
My family passed.
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who...
Oh my God, I love it. I love it when like two people try and talk at the same time, then they both stop, and then they both just start again. Like, fuck me. I don't know how long these two have been like just batting it back and forth while the other person just fucking waits, I guess. I don't know.
There are a lot of people who take the steps to pass just like you did, or maybe they took those steps at a later age in life where they've had more development to... Yeah, or... So you're saying that because you had the situation happen, that you are in a position where you're comfortable and that you pass and all that. Like, that's great. I'm happy that you're able to pass. But to say fuck you to the rest of trans people because you were able to do a
No,
thing,
I'm not saying that.
I don't know if you
saying that.
understand how problematic this all sounds. And that's why
I'm
we're
not
opposing
saying
this so
that.
much.
Kind of
Yeah, the things she didn't say do sound problematic. I agree, Ben, or whatever your name is.
come across that as that, Summer. Like, whether that's your intention, because, I mean,
Right.
there was
it's just two people like scolding someone over and over. I'm getting like grossed out by this shit. Like, is someone gonna get angry soon? I wanna. Oh my god, I'm struggling with this, man.
a
I'm
time.
not saying that because
Obviously,
I'm not
you
saying that.
know,
I'm saying
you know from your transition that there was a time when you didn't pass as a cis man and you didn't pass as a cis woman, and every single person you walk past.
I think usually people put people in one or other camp. People don't usually say. I mean, you get people where they can't quite tell because there's a mixture of like things, but usually people put people in one or the other camp, I would say.
Past who looked at you was like, that's a trans woman. And when you're in that kind of zone, maybe we can come up with some hypothetical idealist world where there are loads of different types of toilets or something. It's just nonsense. But in reality, you've got to pick one or the other. And when people are reading you as a woman, but also reading you as trans, and you're saying, well, you know, kind of just deal with that. And then maybe that for you, that was a really short time. Like for me, that was, I don't know, in the order of a year. And for some,
By the way, the title says bigoted trans woman doesn't want to be held accountable. Where's the bigotry? Where's the anything needing holding accountable for? What the fuck is this?
people, that is their entire life. And like, you know, you can say, I took the steps to transition. I actually had enough money to afford FFS. So it's just like, you know, these people are going to be thinking, well, fuck you. If I could get FFS, then I would do.
Antenna cactus. Why can't a non-passing trans woman use a single occupancy space? I guess it's probably a lot of them do, but obviously it depends whether there's one there. I mean, I don't know. If you don't pass very well, then my recommendation is don't use the women's if you're a non-passing trans woman. So,
or maybe they're thinking, I don't want it because I think I look nice enough. And there are some people who also just happen to have really garbage opinions on trans rights in general who are uncomfortable.
Here we go. The vague appeal to transphobes again. Great.
Because what, I don't fit their standard of what a real woman should look like. Like this is different to this bloke in Canada or whatever that you've come up with. This is just the normal, every trans woman who, you know, the vast majority of people who are just trying to get on and live their life, and they're making their decision. They are faced with, I can either use the men's or I can use the women's. They know they don't pass as.
Oh God, Dr. Ben even has a mug that's like, I'm a doctor.
A cis man, they know they don't pass as a cis woman, and they have to make this decision every day, and they come to their own conclusions. And maybe,
bruv, if you don't pass as a woman, use the men's. Really easy. You don't think you pass as either, maybe use the men's, because no one cares about men's spaces. That's the whole point. It took these idiots a fair while to understand that much, you know? Like he was talking about which bathroom he should use. No one cares, bro. You look like a man. Use the men's, where no one gives a shit.
And then if you're saying, I don't think you pass enough, you should basically get fucked. You can see why people might be upset about that.
That is not what I'm saying. You are twisting my words.
And like she grins. Oh my God.
You can see why people might be upset about that.
That is not what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to watch any more of this video just for that. Jesus fucking Christ.
They know they don't pass as a cis man. They know they don't pass as a cis woman.
They don't pass as, I don't know. Like I said, I think people usually make a decision on that, and it's usually based on as many factors as they can pick up if what they see so far is, you know, ambiguous.
And they have to make this decision every day, and they come to their own conclusions. And then if you're saying, I don't think you pass enough, you should basically get fucked.
You should basically get fucked. When has she said anything like that strong at all? And then
you can see why people might be upset about that.
So something she didn't say, you can see why the thing you didn't say would upset people.
That is not what I'm.
And then she just fucking grins and like laughs. What a disgusting fucking freak. Disgusting. Next stream, you should check out one of those legendary Mr. Girl transphobia debate panels. So much better content. I do want to look into those. Like, I'm trying to cover as many different people as I can, ultimately. I don't know if I want to watch any more of this. I really don't like, it's pretty disgusting what they're doing, you know?
I'm saying, you are twisting my words.
I'm not trying to. This is just how.
You're not trying to. Well, you're very good at it for someone that's not trying to. Fuck me. It's not just twisting someone's words. It's trying to find, like, offense where there shouldn't be any. Like, fuck me. Yeah, I'm kind of I never listened to, like, Mr. Girl's, like, trans takes. I was always just like, oh, he's anti-trans. Because I hadn't quite snapped out of my soy phase yet. But I do need to watch some of it. I do need to try and find a way of coping with the way he talks, though. Because he's, like, slow and does really long pauses. And it's just like, But that's my problem, I guess.
How I'm interpreting what you're saying. Like, if you know,
you're
if you're not
interpreting
past
it-
Yeah, the problem with fucking trans people interpreting things is that this is what they fucking do. It's so annoying.
where'd you go?
Incorrectly.
Quite possibly. But, you know, if you don't pass, even if you've taken the steps to do so, regardless of whether you have, what do you do?
Well, you could argue it's not very conscientious. That's not the word. Considerate. You could argue it's not very considerate towards women if you don't pass, even though you tried your best to use the women's anyway, because you might make people uncomfortable. So you have to make that decision for yourself ultimately. Like, if you don't pass, you have to make that decision for yourself. And yeah, what else can we do? You know, I don't know why there's so much of this shit is like completely unnecessary. And that these people are trying to like bring up the temperature. Like, they're cutting her off a lot. They're not really letting her speak a whole load. She's going to get annoyed. And I guess the tactic might be is, I don't fucking know anymore. I guess the tactic is something like, you know, use subtle ways to get them annoyed until they eventually say something that's a bit mean or something. And then they could be like, oh, you can't say that. That's the most horrible thing I've ever heard. Don't worry about the fact they've been lying about this person's position for the whole fucking thing. And like being insanely obtuse, bringing up complete useless fucking red herring shit, like which bathroom this idiot should go in, as if there's any fucking question. Oh, I don't know. I'm getting genuinely irritated now.
I get that there's a time between where you're not passing and you're passing. And those times you should
Some
then
people that's
use,
forever.
you know,
Let her speak.
no, it doesn't have to. Look,
It does
if
have
you
to
have
be for some
cancer,
people.
if you have cancer and you're trying to save your life and you need money to be able to do that, then you're going to do anything that it takes to be able to save your life.
That's
right?
a really
Oh, you don't understand how lazy a lot of trans people are these days.
bad. That's a really bad analogy. And also, there are plenty of people who cannot afford that. There are plenty of people
How
that,
much
and you know what
do
happens? You know what happens?
I
Summer,
get
do you know what
that.
happens with the people who are in a period where they're trying to do everything they possibly can to not have cancer anymore? You know what happens to like the majority of those people? They die without healthcare. Like that's what happens to them.
Yeah.
And that's actually a great,
Yeah,
that's actually a
I get
fantastic
that.
analogy. No, that's a fantastic analogy to what we're talking about because they're also
Well, no, they're talking about passing, not getting healthcare, and also dying of cancer and killing yourself are not the same thing.
a lot of trans women who are doing everything that they possibly can within their means to transition, and then many of them die without healthcare. So like I think that analogy is comparable in that way. But are you really on the side of, yeah, they should do everything they possibly can and then still, you know, get fucked? Like this is where we're going with it. Like
I
like
didn't say that. I
Yeah,
never
yeah. What
said for anyone to get fucked. I never
But
said
that's
you are
kind of
being
the
so
other
did
disingenuous with me.
but you said
Well,
what you were saying essentially led to
They're
that
finding
conclusion.
this funny. It's like enjoyable to them. You can see the grins on their faces. What disgusting fucks. Like actually ghoulish. Oh my god.
So we're confused. Like you're saying that these things that we're saying
you're
are
putting
consistent with
words in
your
my mouth.
argument, but
I'd rather
these
talk
are
Okay.
the
about it.
conclusions.
So you're saying that. So what you're saying is, so basically you're saying,
that
You
this
don't
gets
think
to.
Arden would be like
Summer.
this with me.
Oh, you want to
Summer,
talk
how
to me,
much-
Summer? I'll jump in.
yeah, like maybe transitioning isn't right for you if you shit at looking like a woman. I don't know. I'm not the best looking woman in the world, but like, I don't know. If you put me and Katie Montgomery together, there's probably one person that would choose me out of the two of us, you know?
I'm gonna be nice to our host, but you don't want to talk to me.
Especially if they hear both of us speak, because god fucking damn it.
I promise you that, because I can see the call notes.
So, yeah.
Host, but you don't.
Would be like
Summer.
this with me.
Oh, you want to
Summer,
talk
how
to me,
much-
Summer? I'll jump in.
I'd rather talk
These are
to
the
Arden.
conclusions that
You
this
don't
gets
think
to.
Arden would be like
Summer.
this with me.
Oh, you want to
Summer,
talk
how
to me,
much-
Summer? I'll jump in. I'm gonna be nice to our host, but you don't want to talk to me. I promise you that, because I can see the call notes.
So yeah. We do have. I was gonna ask about. It does say when you last called in and what you were calling about and various other details. It's just interesting. Well, maybe we'll bring that up later. But I guess I wanna ask. Obviously, this is an anonymous call to a degree. other than what I just said. How much did your FFS cost?
Why are we? Oh my god.
My insurance covered it.
Well, that's lucky, isn't it? Because
It's
not
not
everyone has
lucky.
insurance.
It's not lucky.
Yeah,
It is
it
not
didn't
lucky.
cover mine.
This person like hates trans people unless they agree with her. This person is like actually transphobic. This person hates the person calling in. And it's probably annoying to her that this person has been able to like get all the stuff that she wanted when not everyone can, as if that's her fault. Maybe I'm reaching a lot here, but like, fuck me.
Mine, I had to pay for mine, and I was just looking up like there's a bunch of
Oh, you had to pay for yours. It's so unfair. Like, get over it.
people who live in countries where the yearly salary average is less than the cost of a surgery.
What does he keep smiling at? What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, I don't know. Voice training is hard. Like, I didn't really voice train, so I sound not very different to how I used to, but I sounded like a gay guy anyway, so.
I mean, I think it is very lucky that your insurance covered FFS because no one in the UK gets that, and we have. Like,
we don't have. What health insurance do we have in this? Oh my god. No one in the UK gets that. No shit. We don't have insurance, do we? Do most people have health insurance in this country? I don't have health insurance.
like free healthcare, and I can't imagine that most Americans have that insurance like that. And
There are
and
insurance
certainly
plans out there, and I sought
Asia.
those insurance plans before I transitioned.
Uh-huh. But you have to pay in a bunch of money for those plans, right? And you have to live in a state where they exist.
$200 a month.
Yeah, you
$200
said
a month.
Yeah, right. So all you're really doing is you're projecting your own experience and just saying everyone else should be able to do it. But like, if you live in a country like Thailand, right, where there are definitely a bunch of trans people and they're quite well least accepted in society compared to the surrounding countries, they don't have medical insurance that covers FFS.
What are we even talking about anymore? She said something about cancer and paying for it, and now we're on. Oh my god.
And their yearly wage is literally like a quarter of the cost of the average FFS.
You're white and Western. Shut the fuck up about shit you don't understand.
Average.
Right, but
so what are they going to do? Stay for 60 years? I know, but the point is that you called it.
All right, gotcha.
In with this kind of like, I did something a certain way. Why can't everyone else be like me?
I didn't say anything about me. I am saying.
But you're saying people should go out of their way to try and pass. And I'm saying that lots of people simply do not have the money or the time.
Well, should they transition then? Is their transition going to fix their gender dysphoria if they're not going to look at themselves and see a woman? I don't know. DGG for life. Yeah. Starbucks insurance. Fair enough. Any info about like US insurance is helpful because I don't know jack shit. We don't have that kind of system here, so.
Not everyone who wants to do that can do that. Even if we ignore the people who don't want to do that.
Too bad. Then don't transition.
Yeah, well,
then don't yeah. Because is it going to help your gender dysphoria if you just still look like a man?
No, that's what we're saying. That's the other option. It's like, oh, you're trying your best to pass, but you're too poor. Too bad.
No, I didn't say you're too poor. Then figure out a way to do it.
That's what you're saying.
Put some effort
How do these people figure out a way to do it when they're too poor? Tell me, how do these people figure out a way to do it?
I don't know, second jobs? Like, what do you do when you need money? I don't know, get a job? Put on some kind of event for fundraising? Oh, wait, no, we're all trans. No, what we do is just do a fucking GoFundMe that gets like 1/10 of what it needs to get filled up. Meanwhile, some trans like Z-tier e-celeb needs a new computer, so shit like that's getting funded, you know?
Yeah,
tell me exactly what. Yeah, tell me exactly how they should do it.
I hope it's get a second job.
What's wrong with that? Like, fuck me. Try taking your fucking life seriously. I don't know.
See, this is not why I called in. This is a very nuanced conversation.
And you don't.
Sorry for the nuance.
Sorry that you don't understand the nuance of your position. But tell me exactly. You're making the statement that they should do everything possible to get these surgeries. And if they
sell some fucking crack. I don't know. How do I make money? What should they do to make money? I don't fucking know. Use your brain. Fucking doctor, apparently.
Can't do it. This is your position that they should do it. So what is your proposal that they do?
This is not why I called in. I called
I don't
in
care.
to
This
what
see
we're
that
talking about,
person
though.
called that.
Summer, you keep
Oh.
saying that as a way to get out and avoid answering the question, but you made the claim. You made the statement. Tell me how they should do it if you're going to stick with that argument.
I hate this guy so much. I actually dislike this person more than Katie. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think she's pretty vile, but like this guy is like disgusting. Yeah, this is literally just bullying. And like you'd think because it's 2-on-1, they'd give the other person like more room to speak and stuff, but it's the opposite of that. It's like disgusting.
Or do you want
How
to change your
they should
position?
pass?
No,
How they should
how
pass?
should
Is
they
that what you're
work to
asking?
pass? How should they
Let's just
achieve?
Bug man. All these types do is make excuses for lazy bad blobs. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why someone would transition. If they're never going to look like a woman, aren't they just going to still be miserable and have had all kinds of shit done to their body? You know, I don't know. We're starting to get into this, you know, hypothetical trans woman that doesn't exist, and I don't know. This is killing my soul. So if I don't sound very enthusiastic, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, but let's pick the average UK citizen who doesn't have access to insurance, which will cover FFS,
So
and who
why don't they have
transitions.
access to
Well, FFS is not exactly like a, what is it, a necessary surgery. It's not seen as one. Like, if you can't afford it, then get some money together or too bad. I haven't had FFS. Like, I'd like to. If it never happens, that's fine because I might just never be able to afford it. But like, oh my God. I don't care if you're poor. Figure out a way to do it is the most privileged statement I've heard in my entire life. Wasn't it him that said that? God, the viewership for this fucking channel must be absolutely disgusting.
insurance? Why can't they get access? Why can't they figure out a way to get access?
We don't have
You
that
haven't
in the
done
UK.
any.
We have the
You
NHS.
haven't done any research
Well, they have ways to get access, which is making money.
on. You haven't done any research on this at all. The wait lists alone in the UK are astronomical.
Oh, yes, I have.
The wait lists for FFS? Is that what we're still talking about? I can barely keep up. I don't know if that's true. The wait list for like the general transition, you know. The dolls in poor countries don't complain this much. No, absolutely not. This is a very white Western attitude. UK, USA, I guess Australia, Canada.
No, you're
So
wrong.
how do we do it in the UK then? How do we do it?
Yeah,
All these
tell us.
things-
Oh my God, just use your brain. How do you get money? There's lots of ways to get money. Start up a fucking stream and just keep doing it until you get fucking paid. I don't fucking know. Why does this person have to solve everyone's problems? This is like someone's fucking oven broke in a house that I used to manage when I worked as a letting agent. And this fucking dipshit was being like, oh, I can't cook anything. What, am I going to have to eat takeaways the whole time? And I'm like, well, that's probably not your only option. Well, it's like, well, what can I eat? What kind of food can I eat? It's like, think. Go to a supermarket. Look at the fucking food and work out what you don't have to put in the oven. Maybe eat some of that and don't spend all of your money on fucking takeaways, thinking that you might get it back as a fucking rent-free period, which probably won't fucking happen.
How do we do it?
ZGG. I've heard of Zonya. I don't know who she is, but yeah. Good to see you.
How do you get private insurance, which covers FFS in the UK?
Oh, this is so stupid.
I didn't call about FFS.
I've literally never met someone in the UK who has private health insurance, and the NHS
I didn't call about this. I'm going to continue talking about it anyway. Great.
does not cover FFS.
Summer,
It
you
doesn't-
keep saying that you've done the research on this and that you understand how this works, and then you say, and then when we ask you something that you don't know the answer to, you just say, I didn't call in about that. Like, so
Yeah.
it sounds like you don't actually know, and you're just dodging.
Just sounds like you actually know. No, it sounds like she doesn't want to talk about this because it's not what she called about. Fuck me.
Questions
Well, I
by
didn't
saying you didn't
call
call in
in
about
about
that.
these
Do you know
particular
what we're talking about? Do you know what we're talking about, or do you not? Do you know what it takes to get private health insurance
What is that question? Do you know what we're talking about or do you not?
in the UK, or do you not?
Or another country,
Not
like
the UK,
Bangladesh.
no. But that's not what I'm calling about. That's not what I'm even talking about.
But it's the
I'm
core
saying
part of your
that people that
argument,
want to
Summer.
transition should try to pass as much as possible.
Yeah, and if they can't pass, then what?
Don't transition, use the man's... I don't know. Hey, Hatfield, these people are disgusting. You're having debate, first thing is to listen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's driving me insane. I think... yeah, I don't know. Good to see you.
if they can't pass, then what? What do you mean? So like, if
Well,
someone,
like,
if you're wearing,
If they don't pass, they can still use the women's. They just might get shit for it. They could use the men's. They probably won't be getting much out of their transition anyway, because a lot of it is like visual. You know, what is the point in this?
a
portion of
beard,
trans
and you
women are
walk
never
into
gonna
a
pass.
women's room.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
And-
how biological men with beards are walking in.
but you're a biological
women.
man, according to you. So I don't know why you're saying biological men.
No, she didn't say that earlier. You're just trying to find a reason to insult her at this point.
And what we're talking about is trans women, and we're not talking about this extreme ridiculous case from Canada. We're talking about the average trans woman on the
There's many
street in the
other
UK where we don't have $200 magical health insurance. The average trans woman on the UK who transitions at 25 years old.
Brianna Wu, I should get her in my Discord, although I called her transphobic recently, so maybe she doesn't want to, I don't know. Listen, I'll link it if anyone wants to join. Please do. We just talk about shit, I don't know.
When she does her best to pass and really wants to pass, what happens now? She doesn't pass as a cis woman, but is obviously a trans woman.
Yeah, and so she shouldn't be showering with women in a shower
No,
room
so
with other women.
what should she do? Where
Go
should she
home
go?
and shower.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's
So
what
your
most
answer
trans
is
do
get
anyway,
fucked.
isn't it? We don't
That's not the same as get fucked. Oh my god. Trans women do not have an what's the word I'm looking for? Trans women do not have a right to use the women's toilet. And telling a trans woman not to use the woman's toilet isn't just being like, well, get fucked, I don't care. It's, you're making other people uncomfortable. These people, I haven't heard them once show that they really care about the perspective of like a woman that's like a man suddenly just walked into the fucking bathroom, because that's what they're seeing if it's someone that doesn't pass, right? They don't care about those people. They're not saying, shouldn't a non-passing trans woman think about whether she passes well enough to not cause discomfort? They're not thinking about that whatsoever. I don't think they give the slightest shit about women, and that's fair enough because they're both male, so.
So your answer.
How many trans women even want to shower in an open space? Fuck knows. This conversation like went off the rails a long time ago.
I think the shower thing's a total like deflection though, because we don't have many open plan changing rooms and showers here. My local.
I've been in one. And why does it matter that it has to be local to you personally? Isn't she just talking about trans women?
Places that are in a sensible range will have cubicles. I'm talking about real stuff that you do every day, like using the toilet. Like when I go to the toilet at the pub.
They're not using a changing room. What if you go to the gym every day, first of all, or go swimming most days? But like a toilet, like this is pedantry. No, we have to put it on the track that I want it to go on. She is being railroaded. You totally railroaded me. That's the fucking title. She is being railroaded. She's right.
Maybe I go to the pub more than most people, but going to the toilet at the pub used to be a.
The talk time on this must be nuts. I'm sorry I keep pausing. Listening to more is like, it's always just, I don't know if I can do it. Fuck me.
Stress point for me when I was early on in transition. Like, it's a new pub. I don't know what the clientele are like here. Maybe it attracts more transphobic people or whatever.
God, she's always the victim as well. It's like, you'll bully the shit out of someone and then seamlessly switch up to a fucking thing where it's like, oh, bad things might happen. There might be transphobes here. Meanwhile, the non-passing trans men shaving in the fucking rooms, they're nothing to worry about, I guess. It's pretty sus how opposed these people are to single space shower and changing stalls. Yeah, I mean, she seems to not like open plan changing rooms, which, I don't know, fair enough. But none of this means that a biological male has like a right to use the women's changing rooms. So I don't know. I don't know what she wants. I don't know what she wants out of this conversation, honestly. She's just kind of reacting to things as they happen. Because her basic position is, I just want to give you shit, basically, as far as I can tell anyway.
And it's like, well, how much do I think I pass? I don't really know what I need to do. Like,
what happens is these conversations happen. These people have no interest in changing their minds and won't cop to a single thing they ever do as doing wrong or incorrect or immoral. And then we just carry on, shit just gets worse, attitudes just get worse. And hey, sometimes I'll have to deal with a stereotype where trans people are extremely difficult and obstinate and obtuse about literally everything. And I just have to try and be like, well, I don't think I'm like that personally, but hey.
Stressful situation.
Doesn't occur to her that other people might experience discomfort and this might also matter. Yes, exactly. So, yeah. And I find this a lot with like trans, like activist types. I mentioned earlier about parents, how I kind of empathize with them with the whole trans kids thing. I don't see any of these like trans rights activists really showing any empathy for like the parents. And if they do, it's 2 seconds and then minutes on end of why the parents' view doesn't matter. That's what I tend to see. It's the same with women. It's the same with fucking bathrooms and stuff. They only care about the trans person. They don't care about the other people in the room. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's why he decided to ask what bathroom he should be in, even though no one gives a fuck, because he's not part of this conversation when it comes to trans women in a fucking women's bathroom, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I've long held this belief that for one thing, these activists tend to lack empathy, but for another thing, they tend to think that they can substitute empathy in with something else. Like, they're not empathetic, but they're intersectional, and that makes them a good person, I guess. And it doesn't. These are not good people. These are awful people. Like, these people are worse than, like, fucking TERFs and, like, whatever Nazis, whatever people call them. I don't know. I hate saying the word Nazis, but, you know, far-right people. These people are the worst kinds of people, basically.
Right? And
I've had my mom on the phone with parents of her kids' patients. It's fucking hard. Yeah.
it's good knowing that when I have made the decision that I know I don't pass as a cis woman. I know that anyone who talks to me is going to be like, oh, that's a trans woman.
Well, no, they're not, because you're going to be cutting them off and talking over them the whole time. They're not going to say shit.
That I can still safely go use the toilet.
Oppression hierarchy, yes, absolutely.
You know,
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people that.
And she's like grinning. Like, I think she knows. I think she's trying to act like, oh, I can't believe this person's so crazy. Like, what's she even talking about? I think she knows. I think really this is, like, she's getting off on, like, bullying this person. There's, again, a very common thing. I don't know if, like, if I had to hazard a guess, a lot of these people were bullied at school, and a part of them is like, relishing the chance to get to do it to someone else. Either that, or they were always the bully, and this is just their natural fucking habitat. I'm not sure. But it's gross, either way.
That kind of pass. I'm talking about people that absolutely do not pass, that do not give us, that don't care that they have a being.
Yeah, so then what happens to the people in the middle?
Don't pass. You said people who don't pass, and really what you meant is people who haven't transitioned in any way, shape, or form. So that's a different argument. That's why we've been like, it's a completely different position to argue.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I called in to talk about those issues, not these nuanced pass or pass not issues. I'm not talking about bathroom issues. I'm talking about trans people going into spaces that don't even hardly try to pass.
Summer. Okay, right.
They don't even try. So when they're talking about people who can't, like, who are they even talking about? Because most people don't try. We don't really know who the people are that can't, because most of them aren't trying anyway, because we just care about identity. We don't care about what we come across as. We don't care about our whole selves anymore. It's just whatever's in here that's you've decided makes you a fucking whatever. With these two complete victims in a position of perceived power, the types who turn stylist. Yeah, absolutely. Which, by the way, you want to know why I don't trust, like, leftists? Like, these kind of people are exactly why.
40-minute discussion here. So how about, now we know that you want to argue instead, not about people who don't pass.
Oh, you finally got there after being the ones dragging the fucking conversation off the path every 2 seconds. Some of them seem to be taking the piss, frankly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Josh Saiter guy, I'm pretty sure is like actually trolling. But there's an awful lot of people out there that look like they're trolling but aren't. You know, you can't tell anymore.
And not about people who can't afford FFS, but actually about people who there allegedly exists a class of trans women who...
There allegedly exists, so straight off pretending it doesn't exist. You know it does. You've seen these fucking so-called trans people that fucking... that clearly don't care and don't make an effort and don't, like, wear makeup or anything, like, ever. And don't shave extremely hairy parts of themselves. Like, don't fucking bullshit people like this. It's pathetic. And, like, I don't know. It's difficult to hold people to task for this kind of thing because, like, you have to like slap the things in front of them that are looking for it. They'll pretend they've never seen anything like that in their life before. Again, like, this is why I stopped being friends with like trans people for the most part. I mean, if they're people I've met here and they agree with me, then maybe. And if they're people that disagree with me but can do it civilly, then yeah, I'll be friends with them too. But like, this is exactly what it was. The we spar, yeah, the we spar thing is the thing that the summer person brought up. And the only time these people ever like refer to it as being like, oh, that one example you brought, oh, that one outline, that crazy example you brought is pathetic.
Doesn't transition, but does socially transition or whatever.
Yeah, you totally
Let's talk about them next time you call in.
You totally changed how I wanted to talk about this. You totally railroaded me. You totally changed everything.
Based, yes. Hold them to task. And they're laughing. They're laughing because it's fucking true.
About why I was trying to call in the first place.
Well, I think that it's, as a skeptical show, as you'll know because you've called in before, we need to get to the root of things. And when people...
We need to get to the root of things, but we're not very intelligent, so it takes us a whole 40 minutes. And oh no, the time's gone now. I guess you can't make your points because we wasted all your time. What a shame.
Say stuff, sometimes there are premises that we need to analyze. And if, like you said...
We call it skeptical as a cover for being assholes, just like trans people do in general. Listen, I love trans people. I hate these fucking activist types. Okay, let's get it clear.
One point in the conversation, you said you're not a biological man. At another point, you said you are. At one point in the conversation, you said people who don't pass shouldn't be using women's spaces. And now at another point...
You're railroading me, then they laugh and just keep doing it.
You've said that's not quite what you meant. So you can see why we had to at least approach these things, because...
Everything they do is perfect. Everything the other person does is wrong. We're just hitting all the cliches. Listen, this is very informative for me because I come across these kind of idiots all the time. And it's good to know where the fucking propaganda's coming from. It's good to know where the conditioning is coming from, because this is a fucking thought cult as far as I'm concerned. There's lots of them out there. It's not just trans, but this is a fucking thought cult.
It wasn't clear. Obviously, what you were initially trying to communicate did not come across in your first few statements.
And they're blaming her. Why couldn't it not be that you weren't fucking listening? Because she mentioned several times at the start, surgery, passing. Quite easy. I summed it up in like no time at all.
So,
yeah.
I'm saying, next time, call back. Call back.
Oh, and she's giving advice now. Giving advice on what to do next time. Oh my God.
And I think next time we will talk about... I would really like to, and it doesn't sound like you would like to, I'd really like to understand why you consider yourself a biological man. But we can also discuss trans people who do not medically transition, but do socially transition. So we'll talk about that next time. Thanks for the call, Summer.
Okay, when I see you online again, I will call in and we'll talk about that.
Wicked, next week. Okay, bye. Right, that was...
Okay, we get to hear a bit of the post-amble. This'll be nice.
It's a good call, everyone. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it.
Spice.
I'm not going to make any hard...
That was a good call. If I acted like that, I would be disgusted with myself. Oh wait, I wouldn't act like that. Okay.
Accusations, but we get a little like... We don't get that much information. It is anonymous if you call in, but...
Okay, so excuses for being assholes, such as, we don't know who you are. Well then, all the more reason to hedge your bets, right?
We get like the notes you gave last time, including your name and your pronouns and the date you called in and what you were calling in about, like, underneath your current call. And for most people, they line up. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, you're blaming the other person. Just say that. Just say it's your fault. You're a dumb idiot. You obviously can't talk right. You don't know what English is, despite being from an English as a first language country, whatever the English native language. Fuck me, I don't know. Oh, I hate these people.
But let's move on.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious if this person ends up calling when Arden's on, just to hear Arden's response. And I
is this Arden even more of a prick than you two?
can tell you, Arden's not any nicer than two of us.
That's not something to be proud of. Like, she's not any nicer than the two of us. Look at them. Look at them. Oh. There is no way that these people are not getting off on this.
Hello,
This reminds me a bit... Oh, there's some bullshit at the end. Is that Matt Dillahunty?
Cheers on those. Check those options out. Also, you can leave a super thanks and get...
Oh, no, that's Matt Dillahunty. Okay. And Forrest Valkai comes on a lot. Yeah, like... Fuck, what am I trying to... I was trying to say something. It kind of reminds me a little bit. You know, like those people that, like, super trolled Chris Chan where they'd like call him up and like just give him shit for like hours on end. And it's obvious the person calling is like getting off on speaking to another person like shit. That's the kind of feeling I got from this. Like, I think this channel is disgusting. Maybe the other hosts are better, but they've got Nominal Naomi somewhere. What else have we got? Don't know who that is. Wait, is that Forrest as well? Yeah, it is. That's Forrest. He's gone ginger for some reason. Ginger hair now. That's appropriation, you know. What the fucking idiots. Oh, Luxander. I've covered her before. Absolutely awful video I watched about some trans study, which she just read a fucking Erin in the Morning article about. Which that's how you get like negative information, is reading Erin in the Morning. Or Matt Dillahunty. Can't quite get over the surname Dillahunty, but my surname is a bit silly as well, so I'll keep quiet, I guess. Shannon Q. I've heard of her. Arden Heart. Caller struggles to fully grapple with trans identities. Jeez. Anyone else? Katie Montgomery again. God, we just want, fuck me. We just want carte blanche to fucking be the biggest assholes we possibly can because we've decided we're super oppressed. And I fucking hate it. Especially because it ends up coming back onto other trans people as often as it does cis people or whatever. Because people like me have to deal with this shit as well. They're not nicer to someone like me because I'm trans. If arguably they're worse. I think people like this are actually themselves a little bit internalized transphobia because they seem to react worse to a trans person they disagree with than like a cis person, you know? I should check out the Maintenance Phase podcast if I want more ridiculous trans content. I will, thank you. Fuck, what are we doing? I'm probably not watching anything. I'm just gonna see if there's any more utter freaks on this shit show. Shannon Q I've definitely heard of. I know who Jimmy Snow is. I think he's an atheist guy as well. I don't get atheist content. Whenever I watch atheist content, I just think, like, was there nothing more interesting you could be talking about? Wait. Josie Caballero. That's fucking Josie Rose C. It's like we've come back to where we began. Fucking Josie Rose C, the fucking Pikachu face. All right, I'll show a little bit of this because it's pretty funny.